Okay, the first theorem. So we are going to draw a chord. We are going to draw a chord. The points connected on the circumference A and B. So AB is a chord. And then we can have the midpoint of the chord. Midpoint of AB. So we mark the midpoint as C. So we can mark with the double cut. So the midpoint of AB is C. So the center of the circle we name it always as C. Okay. So we go for the theorem. The straight line joining the center. The straight line joining the center. If you are studying a geometrical theorem, so some of the students get bored, or some of the students get confused. What is this theorem? And the theorem is for what? So it is simple. When you are studying a theorem, so you can make the words. You can mark the words, and you should understand the theorem speaks about whom. The main question is, theorem is for whom? Okay. So there is a rule. When you are passing a road, when you are crossing a road, you should use the yellow crossing. So the whom, the rule is for whom. So who can see the yellow crossing on the road, so they can use the yellow crossing for cross the road. Is that correct? Similar way, the theorem is for whom, or the theorem speaks about whom. யாரை பற்றி தியரி பேசுது, யாரை பற்றி தியரி பேசுது அப்படின்னு நீங்கள் ஒரு ஜியோமெட்ரிக்கல் தியரமை வாசிக்கிற நேரம், படிக்கிற நேரம், நீங்கள் அந்த பாயிண்ட்டை நீங்கள் சரியாக பிடிச்சிங்கன்னா அந்த தியரி நினைவுக்கு உங்களுக்கு லேசாகிக்கும். ஓகே, யாரை பற்றி பேசுது என்றது கிளியராக இருக்கணும். அடுத்தது, வாட் ஆர் த டேட்டாஸ் கிவன்? வாட் ஆர் த டேட்டா, இண்டிவிஜுவல் டேட்டா கிவன்? டேட்டாஸ்ன்னு சொன்னால் சாரி, what are the data is given? Okay, the straight line joining the center. Okay, so the first starting line speaks about a straight line. Okay, the theory speaks about a straight line. The straight line joining the center. Okay, சென்டரை வந்து ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரெயிட் லைன் ஜாயின் பண்ணுதான். எங்கே இருந்து? From where? Straight line joining the center. From where? Of the circle. Okay, circle the center or straight line join பண்ண போகுது. Okay, to the midpoint of a chord. Okay, you have two data. Straight line, the first data is straight line. The second data is connecting the center. And the third is midpoint, fourth one of a chord. Okay, so AB is the chord, midpoint is C, and the center of the circle is O. Okay, so this is not the part the theory is speaking. So those are given. We have a chord, we have the midpoint of the chord, and we have the center of the circle. Okay, so those are given. So we call it as data. If a chord is given and the midpoint is given, then only we can use this theorem. If a chord is given and the midpoint is given, then only we can use this, because data they should give it. Okay, so when a chord is given and the midpoint is given, so we can connect the midpoint and the center of the circle. So we are going to connect the center of the circle and the midpoint of the chord. The straight line joining the center of the circle to the midpoint of the chord What is the name the theory speaking? We are speaking about OC. So womb, the person, if we take a person, so we are discussing about womb, about OC. So theory speaks about OC, the line OC, the straight line OC. Okay, the OC, so from a large line of description, okay, ignore it, just you can replace for the entire line, you can replace OC. OC is perpendicular to the chord. Is that simple? OC is perpendicular to the chord because the entire line is describing the OC, the straight line joining the center of the chord, the midpoint of the chord and the center of the circle. So that is OC. So OC is perpendicular to the chord. So what is the theory speaking about? So when a chord is given and the midpoint is marked, the midpoint is also given. Okay, if a chord is given, they should give the circle. இல்லையா? அந்த மாதிரி யாரும் யோசிக்கிறீங்களா? இப்படி ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரெயிட் லைன் தந்தா இட் இஸ் அ கோட்? நோ, இட் இஸ் அ ஸ்ட்ரெயிட் லைன். அப்படி யாரும் யோசிக்கல, எல்லோரும் சாப்பிட்டுப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ கோடு ஒன்று தந்தாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் தேர் இஸ் அ சர்க்கிள். இந்த கோடுக்கு முதல்ல சர்க்கிள் ஒன்று அங்கே இருக்குது. ஸோ சர்க்கிள் ஒன்று தந்தாங்கன்னா சென்டர் அங்கே இருக்குது. ஸோ when you connect the center and the midpoint of the chord, so the angle between the line what we are joining to the chord is 90. So this angle is going to be 90 always. So that is the theory. So OCB angle is 90, or we can say OCA angle is 90. So that is the theorem. So when a circle is given, so the center is also there. So we have given a chord AB. So the midpoint of the AB is also given. So we are going to play with the center and the AB chord. What you are going to do? So we are going to connect the O and the midpoint. So midpoint we marked as C. So now what? If you measure with the protector, the angle should be 90. It's always 90. That is the theory, the relationship between the chord and the line joining the center of the circle and the midpoint of the chord. So that is the theory. The straight line joining the center of the circle to the midpoint of the chord is perpendicular to the chord. Okay, if we go through the figure, so with the other data we discussed earlier, okay, so if you connect OA, so what is OA? What is the name we can give for OA? So what is OB? So OB are radius of the circle. Okay, with the theorem we can mark this angle as a right angle, as a 90. So we have two right angle triangles. On the hypotenuse, the OA is the hypotenuse of this triangle, and the other radius is also hypotenuse of the other right angle triangle. So with this theory, so we are going to dealing with Pythagoras theorem. So you studied in grade 9 Pythagoras theorem. You are familiar with the Pythagoras theorem. So inside the chords of the circle, with the theory, with this right angle, we'll having a right angle triangle. So the questions are going to be with the relation of Pythagoras theorem. Why? If you connect the radius with the theorem, we'll having a two right angle triangles. So with the theory, the 90 angle and also the other part, we are dealing with Pythagoras theorem. Okay, we'll discuss some of the examples to recall the theorem first, and we'll go for the exercises.